I mean, you hear the same thing with Mr. Krishnamurti?
So this is what I'll say. I'm going to reiterate, we can't talk about specifics and what we got into, but what I can tell you is what Gresh shared with me in an unclassified setting that I firmly believe in. I believe that he's telling the truth. I think that he is a credible witness, and what I can also say is one thing in particular that really caused me to be concerned about this whole thing is that Gresh had stated to myself, Representative Burchett, and another member on the phone that there were people that were hurt hiding this information and keeping this information safe and or trying to come forward with this information. What I can tell you is I believe that claim after now leaving. And that's all I'll say now.
Do you think that the administration is sending the right people? Do you think that you guys are actually talking to the right people in these classified?
I think that they are sending the correct people on paper. However, there is, and it's become evident that there is an overclassification and that we are continually being stonewalled. My one concern is that we are authorizing money that is supposed to be spent on certain programs, and yet there is compartmentalization in which Congress doesn't have access to oversight in those programs, and that's a problem.
Are you more concerned leaving now than you were going in?
I feel the same. I think that I'm pretty much at the same space that I was. This entire process has been what facts do we have? Again, the credibility of the witnesses is incredibly important, and I think that we have very credible people.
How much of this is the distinction of saying, okay, there are certain programs that we have that are dark programs that we need to be very careful about letting that information out? Some of that can be attributed to what people have said versus this conversation about Grush and some of the claims he made in the open hearing about non-human biologics.
You know, as of right now, we didn't get into the specifics of that in there, but what I will say is that it has become apparent that there is a movement, whether it's within the intelligence community or not, to prevent us from finding out more information on this. And so we are going to do what we need to do as investigators to continue to pull on whatever strings and see where they lead. I think it's incredibly important to listen to the specific words that Grush uses. You know, Grush never said extraterrestrial or alien, he said interdimensional. I think that that's incredibly important because those are the types of things that when we go in there, there's just certain things that I think that it's important that you guys listen to on that.
On government funding, quickly, I know you voted yesterday. You still voted against.
This is UAP today, so thank you guys.
Can I get clarification?
Yes,
you said interdimensional. I mean, now, what does that term? Is this something that bends time and space? What are you getting at here?
I think that Grush, when I had talked to him on whether these were specifically extraterrestrials or alien in origin, he said interdimensional. He refused to use certain terms, and I think that's incredibly important because I think that that's really the question we're all wanting to know, right? And so I'm actually going to have a sit-down conversation with him and ask him to come back and talk to us directly because it seems that we are getting more information from the source than going into a skiff and then not being able to tell you guys what we're talking about.
Is this stuff that we just as humans might not be able to understand if it's interdimensional?
I think that we can understand it. I think that it's just, it's an approach, right? I mean, like, remember, we just now for the first time in history really had Congress have whistleblowers come forward credible that we're telling the entire world that there is something other than human life forms. Grush said that those were interdimensional beings. He refused to use extraterrestrial and alien. I think that's important to note, but I do have to go feed my baby, so thank you guys.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'll step on the side so she looks at me.
Yeah,
I know, sorry.
Do you mind standing in between the cameras?
Chad.